Welcome to this first series of registration one-on-one that we're doing to help you guys with your most important registration questions. Let me introduce you to Kelly and Drew. Kelly is our Director of Operations and Drew is our Registrar. Let's begin. I'll ask some questions that we think that are important to start on with. Hi, Kelly and Drew.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so can you tell me something about registering a horse with the KLP and NA? Like, do I have to be a member to register a horse with you guys?
Yes.
Yes, you either have to be a full member or a lifetime member in order to register a horse.
And a full membership is $85 and it lasts a calendar year, January 1st to December 31st. A lifetime member is $850 or the equivalent of 10 years.
Okay.
And with either of those, you're accessible to everything. Taking your horses to Currings, registering horses, transferring, anything you need to do with us.
Okay, that's awesome. And what about if I have a horse and I want to register it? Do I always have to go to one of your inspections to be able to register it?
No, the benefit to registering KWPN is that we're a little bit different than most of the major warm blood stud books. We actually don't require inspection. In most cases, it is always possible, but you know, some people it's hard to get to an inspection, or maybe the mare is injured or something like that. So we do not require it.
For the mare or the foal.
Okay, that's good to know. And how do I submit my registration?
So the first thing that you'll want to do is, if you have any questions about getting started, you can always contact the office. If you've bred to a stallion that is activated with us, normally they'll send in a breeding report and your mare's information should be on it. However, if you've bred to a stallion using frozen semen or one that's not activated with KWPN normally you'll have to submit what's called an insemination form, which is basically just basic information of the sire, dam, your information as breeder, and then the date that the mare was inseminated. And that will get the ball rolling. After that, you have two options. You can either request a full birth declaration, which is the document that you use to register your horse, or you can use our online system, which a lot of people seem to like. It just kind of streamlines everything and gets everything to us electronically.
We have a couple examples of the documents that we can show everybody what they are. So first, here is our semen insemination record. And you can see where you would enter the stallion's information, the mare's information, the mare owner. And down here, you can mark if it was an embryo transfer or ICSI, a fresh live cover or frozen. And then the date of insemination. We had an old form that needed a vet signature, and that was more for when you do record the breeding in the year that the breeding took place, and you did, say, a 42-day pregnancy check. We don't get a lot of those anymore, so we went with this form where you can just record the breeding literally right before you're ready to register the foal, which is what really most people do. So we do not require a vet signature. And a lot of people do their own inseminations anyways. But you just submit this form to us so that we can record the breeding. If you are not the mare owner of record, you'll have to transfer that mare into your name, but we can discuss that in another video.
And what about if you want to register an adult horse that you bought or just imported, and that's not
same process.
The same
even
process.
If it's 10 years old. We do tell people, we know very well they probably don't know what that date of insemination was. We usually tell them to take their full birth date and back up 11 months. We get a lot of older horses registered.
The oldest one I've ever registered was 22.
Yeah.
So.
But then you still need to use the full
never too
form.
late. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. And so you just do it the same way. You're going to fill out the semen insemination form and send that to us. We record the breeding, send you the full birth declaration, just like that. The only difference in that our online foal registration is for foals only in the year that they're born. Anything older than that is going to have to be done through the foal birth declaration, which I'm getting ready to show you. Okay, so here is our foal birth declaration. You'll see the dam's information, the sire's information, and then down here is the information that you're going to enter. So you'll see the year that the foal is being born. This is a 2021. You'll enter the date of birth here. For 2021, the letter of the year is R. So you're going to pick a name that begins with the letter R. You're going to check the gender, the color, the date that, well, that's only if the horse was castrated already, which with the young foal, that's not usually the case. Down here is the mare's owner's information and contact information, the signature. Page 2 is the diagram. These are really good to use, especially if a horse has any bizarre markings with the belly splash, nose, yeah, anything like that. You're going to fill those in, draw the markings here, or physically write them in. We do also require 3 photos with the foal birth declaration, and really that's where we get most of the marking information ourselves, but that diagram helps us if we don't see something on the picture that may be there.
And what if a foal or horse is already registered with the KLPN in the Netherlands or with another studbook in North America, and then people want to register it with KLPN North America? How does that work?
Yeah, so if it's a case of being registered with the KWPN in the Netherlands, instead of filling out the foal birth declaration, you would actually transfer the horse. Okay. Of course, we can talk about in a later video. But as far as, I get this question a lot, like a mare, maybe that you want to get dual registered in another studbook in North America. Unfortunately, the World Breeding Federation of Sport Horses, or the WBFSH, as we call it, does not allow that for any of its full members. Okay. So you can have a mare inspected for as many studbooks as will take her, but you can only have one set of papers on her.
Okay.
That is a very often asked question, if you can have dual registry. There are a lot of people that their horse was maybe registered in a registry they're not wild about, and they don't want to work with them, and they'll ask if they can cancel their papers and then register with us. And at the 2019 General Assembly at the WBFSH, it was actually asked by some registries, please make this not possible, because there were a lot of registries doing that. And those horses have been issued UELNs, which is a lifetime number used by all registries. They've a lot of times been issued microchips, and it just causes a lot of confusion. Mm-hmm. And it kind of creates ill feeling sometimes between breed registries. So it is really not possible to do, and very much not encouraged.
So you need to really think about when you get a foal, like, where do I want it registered? Because you're basically stuck with the registry the rest of the horses.
Pretty much, yeah.
We are here for questions. You know, we always encourage people to reach out before making breeding choices, so that they can explore what's the best fit for their mare and their foal. We're always happy to talk to you about it.
Okay, great. I saw on those papers something about DNA and microchips. Can you tell me something more about that?
So we do require DNA on every horse that we register. This started back in probably the early 2000s with blood typing, and now we've moved on to, we use hair now. It's not as complicated as it sounds. If you've never done a DNA test before, it's just, you know, you pull some mane and you send it to the lab, and that just verifies that, you know, the stallion that you bred to is the father of your horse, and that the information that we're putting on that pedigree is accurate
and verified.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that step for step work? Like, I pull the mane, and then what do I do? Like, do I fill in a form or call you guys, or where do I send it? How does it work? What does it cost?
So assuming that both parents' DNA is already on file, which I'd say in a lot of cases it is, then all you would do is, when you register the horse, we will send you a DNA form.
Okay.
It'll come via email from UC Davis. You just print it out, You pull the hair just like you're shortening their mane for a show. It does have to have the roots attached, so do not cut it. But then you just send it off to the lab. In a couple weeks, we get the results, and that's that little WPN number that you'll see on the back of the papers.
Okay. And then what about the microchip?
So in 2017, I think it was 2017, we did start requiring microchips. USEF put in a new rule that they were going to start requiring microchips, especially for like the young horse classes. And most breed registries decided to follow suit. The microchip also is not as complicated as it sounds. It's included in the cost of registration, as is the DNA. So we will, once you submit your horse's information, we send you a microchip as well as a microchip affidavit for your vet to sign upon implantation. You'll just either scan that back to us or mail it back to us. You can even take a picture and email it. Whatever way is the easiest to get the information to us. And then please make sure that the sticker or at least the number is on the microchip affidavit, because otherwise I can't record it.
We used to send out with the microchip number recorded on there, but the wrong microchips were being placed in the wrong horses and it was very confusing. So now we send the microchip affidavit blank with just the horse's name and the horse's registration number. And then the vet is to either place a sticker or write the microchip number in there and sign it with the owner's information. And when we return that back, that's when we record the microchip number, which is why, and this is a very, very frequently asked question, we do not print or submit the registration papers until we have the DNA and the microchip back. There are so many people that call and ask, well, it's been 2 years and I haven't gotten my papers. It's usually we're still waiting on the microchip affidavit, especially since that was new since 2017. But that way we know that everything is completely done before we print those papers out and that everything is accurate.
And how does it work with printing the papers out? Like you send all your information to the Netherlands, or can you print it out, or how does it work?
So we have kind of a mother-daughter relationship with the KWPN in the Netherlands. So by and large, we go by their policies, their rules. We obviously use their judges, their registration schemes, but we do all of our own paperwork in-house. So all of your paperwork is coming to North America and usually staying in North America. The only things that we really send over there are the DOC tests and, you know, veterinary tests. But as far as registering, transferring, awards and all that stuff, it's just us.
Okay, so you make the actual print of the papers too?
Yes,
we do. Okay. We do get the paper from the Netherlands. It's the exact same paper that they use. They ship it to us when we need more.
Okay.
So I mean, it is exactly the same.
You just have to print it.
Correct, but our papers are in English versus the papers in Holland or in Dutch.
Okay, that's interesting to know.
There's a lot of people, when we will get to covering transfers, some people want to keep their papers because they like that Dutch, but we make sure that there's only one copy of papers kind of out in rotation everywhere, so there's never any confusion. So that's
how does it work if someone imports a horse from a KWPN horse from the Netherlands? Can they then transfer those papers into an English version and then send their papers to you and then you just swap them around or something? Or
they send us the original registration papers from Holland that are in Dutch. We actually would destroy those and print new papers that are in English that are issued by KWPN NA. It's like Drew said, we are a daughter organization, but we're also our own entity. We are our own individual member of the WBFSH. Okay. And so we have we issue different prefixes that are the beginning of your UELNs. There's actually one for the US and a separate one for Canada, and they'll have a different prefix number than what you'll see is issued from Holland. It's supposed to be based on where that horse is born. Okay, so and does it cost, like you just have to be a member of the KWPN NA to have your imported KWPN horse get new papers, or does it require anything more than that? You can just request that. If you don't have, like, you can do $85 for your membership and $25 for the transfer. That's a member cost transfer. If you're not doing anything with the horse in that particular year, if you're not showing There's a $50 non-member transfer fee. I think that's something we'll get to in another video because that's a process in itself. We'll cover duplicate papers and all of that, but it absolutely
it's possible.
Yeah, there are options.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Kelly and Drew, can we like virtually register a horse now so you can show me how it works and the steps we need to take?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're using Iron Spring Farm as an example. There, when you log into your member portal, this is what you're going to see. You can see Iron Spring Farm up here, and you're going to scroll down through My Administration, down here to where you see Register a Foal. So a lot of people are looking for their mare's name on here, but you're not going to see that until you click on Register a Foal.
Okay.
So when you click on Register a Foal, you're going to see all the mares that actually have breeding recorded with us. So we'll just start with this one up here, and you click on the mare's name, and this form is going to pop up. And so this is what you'll see. And here is where you'll enter the date of birth, and it's got a calendar. Keep in mind that it's going to be in the European format, which is going to be day, month, year.
So use the calendar if in doubt.
Yes, use the calendar if in doubt, because as long as you click on the right date, it'll put it in the proper format. Then you're going to click on the name of the foal. And if this is a 2021, the name has to start with the letter R. If you're, and again, you can only do this in the year that the foal is born. So if you tried to put a name that started with a P there, you're going to get an error message and it's not going to accept the registration.
So then
here you've got to,
excuse me, then you need to, if you want to register a P foal because you're just like a year late, then you need to use that other form that you just showed.
Correct. You'll have to call us and ask us to send you the foal birth declaration.
Okay.
So then you've got the drop down for the gender, stallion or mare. Drop down for the color. You have lots and lots and lots of choices. You know, you even get into chestnut born gray, chestnut, you know, born bay, just whatever combinations. There's lots of different choices. One question we also get is, we think this one's going to be gray, but right now he's a dark bay.
Your best guess, and if it changes by the time we go to print the papers, I can always adjust the color.
Absolutely. And even at a later date, if something changes, you're welcome to send the papers in for us to change the color for a $10 reprint fee. That's not a problem. Here's where you're going to select the breeding direction. That typically follows the stallion's breeding direction. If you bred to a dressage stallion, you're going to go dressage. If you bred to a jumper stallion, you're going to go jumper. You've got dressage, gelders, hunter, jumper, and harness. So you'll choose one of those. These questions are not really applicable because you're not going to be registering the foal if it's deceased. This is something I believe that they do in Holland. It's a little different. One thing that we get a lot of issues with, when you do this, all of this information, once you put that name up there, this breeder information and owner information auto-populates. We recommend that you do not try to change anything. If you put even one letter number wrong, it's going to reject the registration. So leave every bit of that alone as it auto-populates. If there's a change or something you need to be listed different, you would just email us and we can fix it when we actually process this registration, because this form is going to come to Drew in an email for her to physically process the registration.
Typically, the online registration works best for if you are the breeder and the owner. If you bought a foal and you're not the breeder and you want to register, it's probably not going to work out so well for you since you don't own the mare. So in that case, you'd probably want to just call us and we'll walk you through everything.
If you don't own the mare or you didn't own the mare at the time of the breeding, she's not going to show up in your member portal. So that's when you'll need to call us and ask for a foal birth declaration. So again, all of this auto-populates. Leave all of that alone. Co-registered party, again, leave it alone and email us separately. you get down here into payment, you can either choose to pay by check and mail that check in separately. You can go ahead and enter your credit card information. We do have we can bill you or invoice you through QuickBooks Online. That would be just either dropping us a note, or if we don't see payment information, we're going to invoice you through QuickBooks Online that you can actually pay online. Down here is probably what causes people the most grief, but it's really not too difficult. You're going to upload 4 photos. This particular form, you cannot go in and enter everything, save it, and come back later. Unfortunately, you need to be able to be prepared to do it all at once. So have those photos ready to go. Typically, we say we want 3 photos, a front view, a left side, and a right side. This is asking for 4, which includes a rear side view. Just making sure we're getting all the markings all the way around. Sometimes if you've got a really high definition camera that you took the pictures with, the file might be too big. That's probably been one of the biggest glitches that people have come across. I have found the easiest way to fix that is to email the photos to yourself. And when you email a photo to you, mostly through your phone, which is what a lot of people do now, it allows you to choose the file size. And the pictures can't be more than 5 megabytes.
Another hack that I have found that works, if you have maybe one photo that works, just upload that one photo into all of those sections and then email me the rest.
We're really flexible. We try to make this as easy as possible on everybody. But anyways, you upload the photos, assuming that all works. You check these 2 boxes, you checked your email address, and you agree with the terms and conditions, and you hit save. You should get a pop-up that's going to show you your FOL's registered, and it gives you your lifetime number, right?
Yeah. So when the FOL is registered and it goes through successfully, you will receive an email confirmation. It should have the sire, dam, breeding direction, date of birth, and what book the horse is in, which
I think we're going to mention
brings us to our next point. I have a lot of people that get concerned when they submit a full registration. Let's say it's a KWPN approved stallion out of a star mare, and it says register B when they register the foal. Don't worry. Don't panic. You don't have to call me in a panic. You can if you want to, but so sometimes it's just a glitch with our system. It's usually just a checkbox in the stallion's file that's not checked correctly. I manually review every single registration that comes in, so I will manually upgrade those horses as I see fit.
Believe me, we get that question a lot.
Can you tell me more about those books? You say full book, register A, register B. What does it mean?
Yeah, so we have 3 books that a horse can be born into, and it's strictly based on pedigree. So your full book foals are usually going to be KWPN approved stallions or individually Urkin stallions to either a KWPN mare or a mare that is registered with an Urkin stud book. Urkin meaning kind of accepted, at least that's what we say here. I don't know what it means in Dutch, but so that's going to be your Holsteiner mares, your Westphalian mares, Hanoverian, Oldenburg, you know.
The major warm blood registries.
Yeah. So that's usually what a full book foal will be. That's the highest book that a foal can be born into. Register A gets a little tricky. So usually a register A foal is either a KWPN licensed stallion or a stallion that has been approved with an Urkin stud book. So a Hanoverian stallion approved GOV or Hanoverian or Westphalian or something like that to either a KWPN mare or a mare that is registered with another Urkin stud book. So the full book and the register A papers actually come on the same paper. Like when you look at them, they look the same. The only difference is at the top, it'll either say VB, which is full book, or register A. Register B is kind of, it's usually when one parent is lacking something. It's either a lack of pedigree or a lack of approval. So It can either be that a stallion, you're using a full book stallion that maybe hasn't gained any approvals yet, or maybe you bred your KWPN mare to a Friesian. You know, we're an open stud book, so we have a lot more registration options than some of the other warm blood stud books, which is what that Register B is going to be for. We have draft breeds, we have stock breeds in that Register B. You can still compete with those Register B papers, which is really appealing to people. We have a whole registration scheme that's on our website if you have any questions. And again, we always encourage you to reach out to us before breeding. If you have any doubts, we can always clear it up for you.
Okay, so let's do a recap for the end of this first webinar. Can you take me one more time, step by step, through your registration process before we end this session?
Yeah, so every registration is going to be a little bit different, but generally, you either start out with filling that insemination form, or your mare gets reported on a breeding form. If you're in doubt, just ask us. That's what we're here for. So once we have that breeding recorded, you can either request the full birth declaration from us. Again, if it's going to be a horse that's a yearling or older, you're going to have to do that paper registration form. If it's a foal, you do have the option to register online before December 31st. So at that point, you'll submit your horse's information along with photos, and then you will get a DNA form in an email, or you can send the hair to us in the office if you feel more comfortable with that. I will send you a microchipping kit that you'll get implanted by the vet, and you send that microchip affidavit back to us. With foals, if you register within the year of birth, you do get a USEF lifetime foal registration included, which is a pretty big deal. It's a perk that we started giving along with a bunch of other registries, and it saves you a lot of money in the long run. So that is a perk of registering in the year of birth. So after all of those things are received, then you will get your papers. I mean, it really depends on how fast you want to take this process. We usually get registrations done pretty fast. The only time of year that we really put registrations more on the back burner is during curring season, obviously. But other than that, I've had registrations go out in 2 weeks. If you're on top of getting, your DNA and your microchip in, then we can get it done, as soon as possible.
Except in July and August.
Yeah.
So one thing that we did come up with to try to stop that bottleneck of registrations in July and August, which we always got, because most people were registering their foals at the same time they were entering for a curring or inspection. We came up with a $50 discount if you register your foal within 60 days of birth. A lot of people took advantage of that. We started it last year, continued it this year, even though we didn't have the currings. But that has been very well received. One thing that kind of led to that, starting last year, we added what's called a $100 inactive sire fee. Drew mentioned that if you breed to an activated stallion, a lot of times we get a breeding report from the stallion owner, and we've already got that information. But there's so many stallions that people are used in North America and Canada, and so they're not all going to be activated with us. So it's kind of hard to get these stallions' DNA profiles. Sometimes kind of hard to get their pedigrees. So we added in that $100 inactive sire fee. But as a relief from that is how we came up with that $50 discount. It kind of takes the sting out of it. Typical full registration is $250. So if you breed to an activated stallion and register your foal within 60 days, you can actually only pay $200 for your full registration, which compared to a lot of registries is a very good price.
Which includes the microchip, the DNA, and the USEF lifetime full registration.
Exactly.
So a lot included.
Yeah. You do have to have your membership on top of that. So that is different, but we do not have mare fees. You don't have to do anything with that. Again, we don't require inspections. Registering by mail is something that a lot of people prefer us to. It can be very convenient.
Okay, thank you. That's great, girls. I think this has been very clarifying for a lot of people. And I think that we should do another webinar and to go in depth about a couple of topics.
I definitely agree. I mean, there's so many things we could do here.
If you have more questions, just send them in. You can send them in to the KLPN email address, or send them to me, Elizabeth Worden, directly. That's also fine. I'll ask them out of your name in the next webinar. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. We hope it was helpful.
Yep, thanks.